You want to watch me play through Bug Fables The Everlasting Sapling with only Leif? You want to see me do it again? Once again, the challenge only starts once we rescue Leif from Snakemouth Den. And if I'm being real with you, seeing Leif trapped in Spooder's web reminds me of a Lifetime movie. Which one? I don't know, you tell me. I hate Lifetime. Anyway, Spooder is a very difficult fight for Leif to do on his own. And the big reason why is just because Leif does not have the range to really combat Spooder. Icefall does knock him down, but is better suited for knocking out multiple enemies at once, not just at one target. And 40 HP is a lot and takes a very long time to actually fight through. What I'm trying to say is make sure you pack multiple magic seeds. Crunchy leaves just do not heal enough to be sustainable. Using Spooder's poison against him and making my poison defender metal be active also helped a lot in blocking all damage possible. Before I knew it, it was down to the wire. It was me versus Spooder and his jelly shroom. I asked myself, who should I eliminate first, and who do I feel like I can super block? Never mind the fact that I had a magic seed, I had to make this decision. Ultimately, I concluded, yes, I can beat Spooder. Foul devil, you will be slain before me. And I went on then to blunder a loss. Now you're probably wondering,
why would you do that?
To which I reply, I'm not that smart. Yeah, in hindsight, I guess it was a dumb decision, but I just thought I really had a chance at super blocking that jelly shroom's attack. I guess in this story, the Lifetime villain does end up killing the woman. Actually no, Leif's a dude. Or is he non-binary? How do you gender cordyceps? Either way, he came back to life and killed Spooder. Okay, let's move on. I'm hankering for some food. Well crap, we didn't quite think this through. We're not going to make it. Too hungry. Leif, hang in there. To be defeated in this way, after all we went through. Leif! Fine, I'll help. Stop being so dramatic. Coming up, the Wasp Trooper. I'm not even gonna pretend that I pronounced that correctly. If you couldn't tell, being able to only do 1 damage every turn makes this fight really annoying. Especially since Wasp Troopers are effectively Koopa Trolls. A few lucky freezes does help us quite a bit, but I'd be lying if I didn't say that I appreciated the fact that the Wasp Trooper was attacking other bugs other than Leif. Also, having an extra magic seed from Snakemouth Den was really nice here too, because otherwise I probably would have gotten knocked out. Makes my original game over in Snakemouth Den look a lot sadder now, doesn't it? Anyway, Chapter 2 brings us to Golden Settlement, and while we're here, I want to make some bombs. Spicy bombs. Nothing naughty, US government, don't get any ideas. Early on, Leif's ability to do damage is actually pretty poor all things considered. At the same time, only using Leif for every battle means that as long as he has enough HP, which he is bound to have since he has plenty of HP pluses, abominations can bring both swift and certain ends to some very problematic bosses, as well as a few other problem fights that we're going to be fighting soon enough. One little detour for Super Block Plus later, and we're ready to fight Arya the Acolyte. There really is nothing to this fight, you simply just keep attacking Arya. More often than not, she likes to attack Kabbu anyway. And since she's alone, you have no reason to use your TP right now either. Once she does spawn a Venus Bud, however, you have all the reason to just spam Icefall. With good aim, you're able to knock out the Venus Bud as well as likely knocking out Arya at the same time. Which is to imply that my aim in fact was not good, and it wasn't, as the last Icefall I managed to miss the Venus Bud though I knocked Arya out. And I was put to sleep, and the Venus Bud was healing because it was on the ground, but it didn't really matter because one more attack and it got knocked out. Yeah, it really pays to have an elemental advantage against grass, huh? It especially pays that it's after this fight we get Frigid Coffin. And not very many fights demonstrate this better than Zasp and Mathiva. I handled this fight with impunity. Decided here that the best idea would be to provoke Zasp and just keep attacking Mathiva anyway. At least up until her HP fell to a point where one more attack would knock her out. From there, I kept using Frigid Coffin on Zasp until he got frozen, and then the next turn, I went for the KO on Mathiva. Because Zasp was frozen, he doesn't really get to see Mathiva get knocked out in front of his eyes. And as such, there's no longer a target that increases his attack step by 1 stage every time she's attacked, and he no longer gets the +1 attack bonus permanently. This will make the second part of the fight much easier, which just involves knocking out Zasp. Which is honestly really easy when I have so many Leif omelets to heal myself with. A mild distraction, but that's all they're ever going to be in this challenge. And considering the move we learned in Chapter 5 when we fight them in Chapter 6, yeah, you know where this is going. Only one more fight in Chapter 2, and that's the Venus Guardian. It's weak to ice, Leif has ice magic, you see where this is gonna go. Of course, Venus will immediately shatter the ice on the Guardian, so yeah, we can't use Frigid Coffin to get extra turns. But hey, the additional damage is pretty nice. However, I think I got a little carried away here because I didn't really think about the fact that after you get the Venus Guardian's HP below 65%, it'll become airborne and Leif will no longer be able to reach it without Icefall. With that being said, it's a good thing I decided to make some bombs. And I still had plenty of healing items after Zaspin Malthiva too. So once I ran out of TP for Icefall, I just used some Hard Seeds, a Spicy Bomb, and then once her HP fell below 10, I made sure that Leif had at least more than 10 HP, and went out with a bang using an Abomination on this fight. It was only after that flash of honey we managed to win with only 1 HP left. With utmost confidence, I can see that was not planned, but man am I glad I thought ahead. My next target is Monsieur Scarlet, and it's probably a really bad idea to try targeting him now, but I figured that if I did, it made me look really awesome. Leif is actually in a pretty fortuitous position in this fight. Not as much as say Kabbu with Spiky Bod, but his ability to freeze Monsieur Scarlet solid actually helps a lot here. However, you have to be strategic with when you choose to freeze him, because Scarlet's ability to match if not exceed how much damage you can do to him and heal it off actually can make him impossible to KO. That actually ended up being how I lost my first attempt, as he became an impenetrable fortress, and I had no choice but to resign the fight. It's absolutely doable, but you have to be very sharp in your blocks, otherwise you may end up never having a chance to win. Also, having V and Kabbu be alive here makes them a liability, because they can get healed off of. Once Scarlet's HP got really low, I had to end the fight very quickly. Back support helped me minimize his healing, while Spicy Bombs helped keep his HP low. Ultimately, it came down to having my health at least above 10, and then one more Abomination to go for the kill. And with that, we're resting on the hammock. V and Kabbu take the couch like the kittens you are. Up next to get in my way was the Waspin Bandit ambush. But here's a question, and I want you to answer this in the comments down below. Is it really an ambush if you were expecting them? I ask this because I came very prepared for this fight in particular. A couple of Ice Falls and then a Frigid Coffin, healing myself, and Abomination ended this fight in 5 turns. I know darn well how annoying this fight can be, and I did not want to go through any frustration. You can thank my Tough Bugs run for that. When all was said and done, these 3 were ultimately pretty harmless. Some mischief involving Crispy later, and getting myself the Heavy Sleeper medal, I went to fight Devourer. Why so this early on in the game? Just because I can. Another trick I picked up is to use Abominations to knock out both V and Kabbu as soon as possible. If I don't, I run the risk of Devourer slamming his head into the ground and trapping Leif in its mouth. Yes, it leaves my health extremely low, but I have Drowsy Cakes for that. And if Devourer ever feels as generous enough as he does to poison me while I'm asleep and buffing my attack stat and defense using Poison Attacker and Defender, well, who am I to argue with him? But yes, this boss also took me 2 tries. And let me tell you, Heavy Sleeper makes a massive difference in your survivability in this fight. There's really nothing like being an absolute bona fide stone wall. I'm walking on brambles, oh. Yes, I use glitches, and yes, I got meditation early. Though here, it's only to prove that I can. I'm not going to be using this in the battle with B33 or Honey Nation.
You shall not pass!
Several bad jokes later, we're in the Honey Factory, where in addition to learning Bubbles Shield Light, we also get plenty of enemies to try fighting us that also can numb us. It goes without saying, but if we get numbed, we're pretty much dead, so our guards have to be really on point. And that will continue to be the case until we get Shock Trooper, which also serves to be very useful in the fight with a Honey Nation. Guarding its Honey Spit will spawn Obama Honeys, but letting it hit you will force you to be numbed. This is a terrible prospect. Unless you have Shock Trooper. With this medal equipped, any direct attacks do absolutely nothing to you. And I mean, yeah, you can't move at all, but it has to be better than taking a full damage charge attack from a Honey Nation's jumping on you, right? And besides, the shop in the Honey Factory sells Shock Berries, which restore your HP and numb you for a couple of turns. The only way this could be made any better is if you were able to find the metal TP core at this point in the game. Alas, this is 1 chapter too early for that medal to be available. But hey, lots of Frigid Coffins later, we managed to win, and it can't really hurt a blob of honey to freeze it over and over too often, can't it? Never mind, that must have been extremely painful. So my very first time going through the Honey Factory in my Leaf Only challenge, I ended up gravely underestimating how many items I need for the B33 boss. And the only reason I managed to win was because of a very lucky freeze at the very end of the fight, where I had TP for only 1 more Icefall and no more items to replenish it. This time around, I'm not making the same mistake. I have plenty of TP restoring items, so that I can use Icefall as often as I feel like I need to. And boy oh boy, Icefall I did. I used Icefall dozens upon dozens of times to win this fight. Having Shock Trooper so I could not be completely screwed over by Beeboops numbing me was also a good idea. It also meant I could use Shock Candies and Shock Berries to heal myself and not get hurt by the charge attack by B33 either. I was crazy prepared for this fight, and that was without the medal. Must have one of the artifacts, oh well, go and cry about it. All aboard, Chapter 4. Next stop, Mother Chomper. Why did I start this fight with only 4 HP? So the so-called easiest boss in the game, as I said she was, is not really that easy after all, because I got knocked out once. In truth though, I had plenty of items, I just started at 4 HP because I wanted to use last attack. But once I started taking damage, I healed myself, and then that was really all she wrote, because I was able to super block and not take any damage from that point forward. If I played perfectly, I didn't, but I played good enough to win. And yes, I got the Chomper Seed, but I'm not using Chompy in this run. All I care about is that I got TP Core from this fight. And I wanted this medal because I plan on doing the Cave of Trials up to the first 10 rounds, and I can't really get through it without some extra TP restoration. This was my only way of getting a Tangy Berry before Chapter 4 was over, and I really wanted the Prayer Medal before fighting Astophiles. And yes, it was very pleasant to meet Venus again too. She's just so adorable, which I'm saying despite the fact that she's actually more than 14 times as old as I am. But like, what do you expect? She's a freaking goddess. Up next on the chopping block is Astophiles. You can't use items, which is the reason I wanted both TP Core and Prayer. Otherwise, this fight has the potential to be very difficult. With these two medals though, a few missed blocks is not going to cost me the run. If I can't use items to heal myself, I'll just do nothing. And sure enough, we eventually do win just because we're able to have a pretty good margin of error. Though give me some credit, my blocks were pretty good all things considered. Then was Dune Scorpion, which once upon a time did cause me a lot of trouble, but not anymore. I didn't even use any items. I was just that confident, I guess. Either that or foolhardy, but given the fact that this was a first attempt victory, I'll just go with the former. Hey, that's cheating! After an absolutely disappointing fight with some Wardens getting absolutely no exploration points at all, we have the Watcher. A true blue magic duel. Finally, our battle will be legendary. This fight was intense. While the beginning of the fight and the middle were smooth enough, near the end felt like an absolutely terrifying deadlock. In addition to the feeling of dread of potentially getting freeze locked into submission, I had some moments where I was choking, and then other moments where it felt like I was not able to get any progress because the Watcher kept healing off of me. This resulted in some very clutch blocks, and if I had any less items that I went into the fight with, I'd have lost my first attempt. Yet this was still a one and done, which is something I can't say about my original Leif Only challenge. The battle was long and hard fought, but sure enough, we sent this roach's remains back to where it came from. And a worthy battle it was, because it's after this battle that the entire game onwards becomes much, much easier. Oh yeah, Ice Rain is now online, just not before bursting into flames. And beginning Chapter 5, which has that fight with the beast, which, you know, can OKO you with just one bite once his HP falls too low. But on the more pressing matters, we have the Seedling King. Now this may become its own bug myth, because I'm very curious about something. On my first attempt, I froze the Seedling King 3 times with Frigid Coffin, and as a result, Frostbite failed to freeze and recoil. This is because I hit the maximum freezes being 3 freezes. And yeah, I'm not surprised about that. What I'm surprised about, however, is how with Ice Rain, I managed to freeze the Seedling King 3 times, well at least 2 times in addition to Frigid Coffin. And on that attempt, I went for a Frostbite anyway because I figured I was going to lose this, but I may as well play it out. And then I get the freeze anyway. This is after freezing it 3 times without using Frostbite. So that makes me wonder, does Frigid Coffin increase the rate at which your freeze resistance is increased? Because after seeing this, I think it's been all but confirmed. And yeah, I've been using Frostbite a lot more lately. It's actually a very practical meta for some boss fights. Less so of Seedling King because he does have a projectile, but his bowling attack and ram do work to trigger Frostbite's effect. The rest of this fight just boiled down to using Ice Rain against Seedling King as much as possible. Having my attack be lowered by 1 stage does suck because it makes Ice Rain much more weak as a result, not to mention limiting just how much damage I can do to Seedling King before he ends up going into a second phase, and during that time he has permanent +1 defense. But still, Frostbite helped immensely here, and Ice Rain at least has enough range to hit both Seedling King and his subjects. It took what, 6 attempts? Either way I managed to win eventually. Then was an NPC, a fight that I only did to show off how powerful Ice Rain would be. And somehow I died to this boss, but not the Watcher. But you know, I always thought this fight was a little underwhelming. But you know who'd be absolutely stoked to be on this kind of mission? Moonwood! How do you pronounce his name? I don't know. Anyway, I took this fledgling young explorer to be on a quest to fight some baddies, and his performance was adequate. At first, I wanted Sen to get knocked out by Mun, but then I just realized that this was really annoying and I did not care anymore to try. I don't know, maybe if you both want it, I'll make a video in the future showing Mun fighting these two on his own. I'd have to use Team Sleep Up to knock out the rocks, but hey, if you want to see it, I'll do it. Then I hunted for some tangy berries, I got myself a new house, invaded Shrek's swamp, and then some shenanigans. Yeah, you better be scared. In regards to the beast, Leif is actually particularly gifted in this fight. Ice Rain hits hard, his basic attack and Frigid Coffin could both hit the beast on the ground, Bubble Shoe can block the charged attack, and we just so happen to have an absolutely perfect set of items to fight the beast, using only Leif for this fight. Yeah, remember how the beast has a 99 damage dealing one-shot bite attack against both Leif and V once the beast hits 10 HP left? Get this. I have plenty of hustle candies, and with these hustle candies, I'm going to use one of them once the beast gets to a low enough HP value, like at say 12, use my hustle candy, and then use one more attack to get the beast down to 10 HP left. I still have one more turn though, so I use a Frost Pie to freeze myself, and then the one-shot bite that the beast uses on Leif does not do any damage at all. Yeah, Frostbite is pretty freaking fantastic now, isn't it? And then Kabbu gives his old spiel about how, of course, it's all his fault that both Leif and V are about to die, and like, oh my god, I'm such a terrible friend. But Kabbu, it's cool, it's fine. I know that you're being selfish this one time, and I knew about it from the very beginning. And you know what? I forgive you, because the entire point of this challenge is that you have to stand put and do absolutely nothing. What part of Leif only can you not read, man? But yeah, in my original video, I didn't know about the Frostbite trick to not take any damage from getting hit by the one-shot bite. In this video though, I do know about it. And just like that, the universe is now at peace with itself. Hey, you've seen Ice Magic rivalry, right? How about sibling rivalry? Funny thing about this fight in particular is that Leif can't even move for the first 2 turns, which means we're stuck doing absolutely nothing for a while. But because of this, I'm gonna make the best of it, so I also got Returnal Venom and Reverse Toxin, so that when I get poisoned, I'm at least able to heal myself and my attack stat isn't completely shut down. The rest of this fight was pretty much just me spamming Ice Rain. Sometimes I'd also use Frigid Coffin, and if I get the freeze, well, I'm gonna use Hard Charge too. The damage itself is pretty nuclear. Honestly, I have nothing else to add without wasting your time. Likewise, I feel dirty even commenting on Broodmother at this point in the game. Like, the only reward you get from Broodmother is Miracle Matter. And why would you need that medal when you can't even use anyone else in battle anyway? Once Leif goes down, you lose the fight. Once again, I'm just spamming Ice Rain. It really is just that simple. Ultimax and his troops were even simpler. Ice Rain, freeze them all, use Hard Charge, and then finish off the rest of the subordinates. Ultimax himself did not last much longer after that. Callie and Kabbu really aren't special either. One Numbnail Dart, and this becomes a very quick one-on-one. As then, I'm able to use Hard Charge, and thanks to only having HP pluses to increase my HP, I can Hard Charge into last attack range. One Ice Ball, and then a Frigid Coffin later, and Callie goes down in 3 turns, ending the fight. Yeah, when you learn how helpless Kabbu is to being put to sleep, this fight becomes completely trivial. Up next is Chapter 6, we're now fighting the Primal Weevil. You may be getting sick of this, but I'm using Frostbite again. And it works the first time, but not the second. Nah, the second time I tried using Frostbite, the Fiend used the AoE move that numbs everybody, which is a good thing I chose to equip Shock Trooper. But yes, the repeated Ice Rains in this fight did not take very long to finish. Also, here's a sentence I never thought I'd have to say, but False Monarch hits like a truck. Though I guess it makes more sense here because I don't have any HP core medals right now. The Mothflies hit really freaking hard, and it puts me in a position where I have to get poisoned by the Mothflies so I can actually survive his attacks. It's scary, and you can infer that from the fact that I actually had a death here. Nonetheless, Ice Rain is fantastic here. And the extra items I had to restore my TP also helped a lot here too. At least it wasn't as terrifying as my V only challenged you to BOSS on hard mode with hard hits equipped, with no items and no HP heals because I'm a freaking daredevil. The Coliseum is up next, and as if Leif was not enough of a gladiator to smash right through a rock by T-posing at it, he also dropped each and every enemy here to sub-0 HP. 4-second landers? Child's play. He even says it himself. Cross and Poi? Trivial. Ice Rain is OP. Zasp and Moptava? Completely broken up, and I ain't just talking about their relationship. It's like Armageddon, except instead of fire and brimstone, imagine Leif just sending down ice rains and hail on everything that he hates. This is how it feels to play God. Upcoming victim... Yeah, it's Carmina. Freeze her! Hard charge, because I want to use Ice Rain next time. That's a lot of damage! Repeat once and then some, and this fight is mine. Who is next on the chopping block to torture? How about you? Frostbite is great here, as you can already imagine, because Ridge has nothing but direct attacks. Yeah, Ink may not allow me to use Hard Charge or Ice Rain, but I can block well enough. And so really, it's only a matter of time before he succumbs. Yeah, I'm having way too much fun on my birthday right now. Guess who I'm gonna bully next? Tidal Worm, I see you! It's really fun to knock out Tidal Worm in a single turn by using Ice Rain to knock out the tail too. Next turn I Hard Charge, and it becomes even easier. The poor thing became downright desperate, summoning allies to help it, and using its AoE attack because I can't super block it all the time. Unfortunately for the poor thing, there are two things in life that are inevitable. Death, and the harbinger of it itself, Leif. I may have gotten a little carried away though of Peacock Spider. Once again, getting poisoned was going to be my way out, but I did not have the defense to survive actually. The Peacock Spider was able to finish me off. Why? Because for all intents and purposes, I missed one super block on the diving spider that was summoned, and I got knocked out from max HP to 0. Some medals being swapped around did allow me to win my very next attempt, but wow, that was embarrassing. Though, not as embarrassing as apparently forgetting to record the entire fight with the Ultimax tank. I still have some footage to show for it because I was trying to test out a myth for a future video. And just so you know, the myth ended up being busted because I used to think for some reason that you could freeze the Ultimax tank, but you can't. And Frostbite, now that I know how it works, well, it confirms for me that despite the fact that I think that a metal tank should be frozen, it can't. Despite the fact that it can be numbed. So I may have been wrong, but I think you can all see where I've been coming from. And yeah, it really goes to show how little I care about Ultimax if I completely forgot about its boss fight. Like, I'm at the point where I care about Ultimax less than I care about like said NPC. That's just sad. Shh. You're mine now. You know, there could be a lot of potential for the Deadlander ambush to be really hard. Unfortunately, with Ice Rain it all goes up in smoke. The Beta dies after the first attack, the Alpha goes down to Mackie, and the Gamma just does not last much longer after those two go down either. And the Fire Constructs have it even worse. Thanks to Ice Rain and their weakness to being hit by ice attacks, they don't even survive past the first turn. The Cloth and Warden go down to Ice Rain, and then Mackie finishes off the Crawler. I guess if you could not figure it out, this run was a freaking meme and a half. And yet, we still have a few more bosses to go. The Wasp King, the Everlasting King, and of course Team Mackie and Team Slacker. And we're gonna cover all of them. And yeah, with that being said, let's fight Hoax. So the Wasp King does a lot of damage, and therefore I can't just spam Hard Charge willy-nilly anyway. And it didn't help that my blocks were not up to snuff, so I was missing a lot of super blocks. But I was blocking enough to survive at least. And Ice Rain is still an incredibly powerful attack. There was also this one moment where if I missed the last super block I would have gotten knocked out, but no, I super blocked and I managed to survive. Crunchy Leif? More like Clutchy Leif. Ironically, the Everlasting King was arguably easier. This is largely in part because there is never a situation where the Everlasting King can attack twice in one turn. I mean, yeah, he has the artifacts, but that really isn't very threatening when they don't do very much damage. Not just on raw attack power, but also that I'm just really good at super blocking these things. The only thing about this fight that really sucks is that Leif has absolutely no way to send the Everlasting King back into the air. But of course, Ice Rain is so incredibly powerful that it hardly even matters. Not just in raw damage, but also against the artifacts that the Everlasting King summons. Even the tablet that summons a shield to the Everlasting King really just gives me grounds to use Hard Charge. I'll deal with that later. And trust me, it did not take long for later to come. The fire from the Everlasting King has now been officially extinguished. Ah ha ha! Oh, that's hot. So hot, he sits on ice to cool off. That's cool. At this point, there really isn't much left to do. So I go into the far grasslands, I help Mackie hatch Yin. he gives me a Super Pepper and Iron Seed, and we go and scrap. And so, I really learned here just how good Frostbite is against Mackie. Not so much Team Mackie as a whole, but Mackie himself is actually really weak to this metal. Every attack he has is direct, so he's very prone to setting out Frostbite anyway. And not only does Frostbite do a lot of damage back to him, but he's also frozen for a really long time, which tends to give me plenty of time to use Hard Charge. Also, I got really lucky with Kina setting up my poison metals over darts, so yeah, her and Yen really did not enjoy the hail. And a little bit later, I sent Mackie to a frozen grave. This fight was just hilarious, because my very first attempt I managed to win. I could not even come close to that in my original Leaf Only challenge. And to be honest, that probably speaks a lot more to how much I depended on Chompy. Now before anyone has the chance to ask, I just want to come out and say, I don't have any plans to redo either my V only run or my Kabbu only run, and definitely not my Chompy only run. This is really just a one-time thing I wanted to do because I really love Leif, and I feel like he deserved better. And there are tons more challenges I want to do after this too. There's gonna be a run where I don't do any quests for the entire game, a quest where I equip no medals or items. I even want to do a challenge where I play through the entire game using only Pebble Tops to do any damage. Why is that? Cause I'm freaking crazy. But what's crazier than that? The fact that I actually had a death to Team Slacker. One word. Bazooka. Delilah's bazooka is freaking annoying, and I just can't keep up with that timing. Their tendency to use more items in general, and some really strong healing items like Queen's Dinners also make things a lot longer than I would like them to be. It's times like these where even a medal that I think is absolutely terrible like Status Mirror is somehow still useful for this one fight. Because Delilah's darts, while they should be really annoying, are actually really helpful when you want to get poisoned and you want it to be put to sleep at the same time. More time to Hard Charge, more time to Ice Rain, and more time to knock them out before they have a chance to heal or even knock you out. I will say that I wish that Frostbite was more useful here, but I guess I can't really have everything I want. But what I did get was a moment where I actually had some deja vu. Namely where my Ice Rain managed to freeze Stratos, and then I used that very same move that very same turn to knock out Delilah. And the next turn, I used Ice Rain one last time, and I managed to KO Stratos. And that's it. I'd have more to say, but I really don't have anything else to say because I already said it. YouTube is a cruel website when it comes down to video performance, so yeah. I really hate to be abrupt, but